Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, you're very welcome. This is Reading the Past and I'm Dr. Cat. And Happy New Year. It is 2020. I hope you all had a wonderful and restful festive period and that you enjoyed celebrating the new year, however you chose to do so. And I'm minded in this video to think some more about celebrations. In this year of 2020, what might we be able to look forward to in terms of historical celebrations? I want to think about the centenaries that we're going to be commemorating this year. And to do so, I want to look at 1,000 years of centenaries. So starting in 1020 and going all the way up to 1920. I hope you're going to enjoy this video. Let's go. 1,000 years ago, in the year 1020, and Britain was being ruled by an invader king. King Canute had come over in 1016 and he was now putting his stamp over the nation. He issues a comprehensive law code. It is the longest pre-Norman law code in existence, and it is contained within this text, held by the British Library as one of their cotton manuscripts. As the British Library's website points out, this is the earliest surviving copy of laws issued in Canute's name at a meeting at Winchester in around 1020, but that is not all that is in this manuscript. The creator of this text, believed to be Archbishop Wulfstan, incorporated the law codes of earlier English kings into his text, making it the most extensive record of law in pre-Norman England. Written in Old English, the code begins, quote, "I desire that justice be promoted and every injustice suppressed, that every illegality be eradicated from this land with the utmost diligence, and the law of God promoted." We are told that among its provisions are punishments for committing adultery, perjury and sorcery, together with measures for reforming the coinage and for repairing bridges and fortifications. Many of its clauses deal with murder, which was punishable by being outlawed or executed. As we know, the handing down of laws has never been a fixed process. Rather, it's something that occurs on a continuum, an ongoing experiment that is happening in Britain and also most, if not all, of the rest of the world. Laws have to shift and change to reflect the society they serve. As we change our outlooks, technology and morals, laws have to keep up so that they can be fit for purpose. Canute's law code is not the first of its kind. It is, however, as I said, the longest. It is part of this continuum. It's a consolidation of the existing laws and therefore also a stepping stone for the laws that come after it. And for that reason, I think it's fascinating. I can see no evidence that the British Library, however, intends to celebrate this centenary, which I think is a bit of a shame. I think there is a strong argument for the British Library to put this text out on display, to place it within the continuum of lawmaking, both within this nation and, arguably, the rest of the world. 100 years after Canute issued his law code and tragedy strikes. In the year 1120, a new ruling family has lordship over England. They are the descendants of the Norman invader William the Conqueror. This Anglo-French royal family would spend some time shuttling between their Norman lands in France and their English kingdom. But on the night of the 25th of November 1120, this would have disastrous results. Henry I and his court and family were travelling back from their French lands. He was in one ship. His sole surviving legitimate son and heir, William, decided to stick around, to party with the young people of the court and take a later ship. This was the White Ship. The White Ship was, by all accounts, a technological advancement, incredible for its capacity for speed. The royal party that boarded the White Ship had apparently been partying for some time, and, as people do when they are in drink, they sometimes make quite bad choices. The order was given to the boat's captain to try to overtake the boat of King Henry I. Alas, it was dark, the conditions were not good, and the White Ship ran aground. It sprung a leak and sunk. Almost everyone on board the White Ship perished in the disaster. There was, it is said, only one survivor, a butcher from Rouen called Berold. The sinking of the White Ship and the death of William left Henry I with only one surviving legitimate child, a daughter, Matilda. When Henry I died in 1135, his nation would be plunged into a period of civil war, known as the Anarchy. Chroniclers said that it was a time when, quote, Christ and his angels slept. The Anarchy lasted from 1135 to 1153, as Matilda and her cousin Stephen engaged in battle to determine who would be the rightful ruler of England. The Anarchy only came to an end when Stephen agreed to recognise Matilda's son Henry as his rightful heir, to be king after his death. The year 1220 was the first year that saw no trials by ordeal. Henry III had banned the practice the previous year on the 26th of January 1219. No more would people be able to settle disputes in a trial by combat. Somebody's guilt or innocence could no longer be determined by a trial by fire or a trial by water or any other barbaric and frankly torturous practice that had been employed previously. Rather, Henry III's edict of the 26th of January 1219 asserted that the only appropriate way to determine such matters was in front of what was called a, quote, petty jury, made up of 12 people. In essence, this edict was the first step that would enshrine into law every person's right within Britain to a trial by a jury of their peers. The Declaration of Arbroath is dated to the 6th of April 1320. This declaration was written by the barons and freeholders of Scotland and was addressed to Pope John XXII. They were requesting recognition of Scotland's independence and the lawful kingship of Robert the Bruce. The document was sealed by 8 earls and around 40 barons. As we can see here, the document still exists, although only 19 of the seals still remain. The National Museum of Scotland will be celebrating the centenary of the creation of this document by putting it on display. And here is the web page about this document going on display at the National Museum of Scotland, and I will also be leaving the link to this website and details about this display in the description box down below. On the 21st of May we can commemorate the ratification of this document from 1420. It is the Anglo-French Treaty of Tois. Through this document, Henry V of England is recognised as the heir of Charles VI of France. The expectation was that following Charles's death, Henry would not only be King of England, he would also ascend to the French throne. On the 2nd of June 1420, Henry V of England married Charles's daughter, Catherine of Valois. She was the mother of the future Henry VI. Unfortunately, Henry V would never sit on the French throne as he died before Charles VI, leaving his infant son to succeed him. When Henry V died in 1422, his wife and queen, the mother of his heir, Catherine of Valois, was still a young woman. At some point, she met and formed a romantic relationship with a Welshman named Owen Tudor. By him, she had 2 sons, Edmund and Jasper. They were respectively the father and uncle of the future Henry VII. Arguably then, this treaty and the marriage agreement that followed it, which brought Catherine of Valois to England, is the reason that the Tudor dynasty existed in the form that it did. It is therefore the origin point for some of the most famous kings and queens that have ever existed in history. With regards to the Tudor dynasty, we can also celebrate an achievement of one of their number this year, Henry VIII. In June 1520, so 500 years ago, a marvellous event took place in a field in France, known as the Field of Cloth of Gold. It is commemorated here in this beautiful painting, which you can see on display at Hampton Court Palace. At the Field of Cloth of Gold, the English court of King Henry VIII and the French court of King Francis I met. Indeed, if you're able to make your way to Hampton Court Palace this summer, not only will you be able to see this painting in its full glory, but you will also be able to enjoy the commemorative celebrations of Field of Cloth of Gold that will be taking place at the palace. We will also be celebrating the fact that 400 years ago, on the 6th of September 1620, the Mayflower finally set sail from Plymouth. There had been 2 failed attempts to launch the ship. This was the successful one. By December 1620, this ship full of pilgrims was able to start their new life in the New World. as they disembarked at Plymouth Rock. 300 years ago, in 1720, saw a period in which the British economy came close to total collapse. It was a large-scale financial crisis, perhaps one of the most famous in our history, and it's known as the South Sea Bubble. The South Sea Company formed in 1711 in London. They had the intention of profiting from trading in, among other things, slaves to the Spanish plantations of Central and Southern America. The foundation for the fiscal collapse of this company and almost the nation of Britain was first laid when the South Sea Company was promised a monopoly on trade with Central and Southern America, as a reward for taking over and consolidating British national debt that arose from their interventions in the War of Spanish Succession, which lasted from 1701 to 1714. Members of the company attempted to artificially inflate stock prices by putting false rumours about regarding the potential success and riches that were expected to be delivered to the company and their shareholders. By January 1720, stock was trading at about £120. By February, it had risen to £175. By March, £330. By May, £550. By the end of June, it was at the astronomical £1,050. But soon problems began to emerge. By the end of August, it had dropped to £800. And by September, it had crashed catastrophically to just £175. Investors lost thousands. The British economy came close to collapse, and company employees and government officials were prosecuted. They were deemed to be culpable in what was seen as a great fraud. 2020 also marks the 200th anniversary of the commissioning of this ship, the HMS Beagle. It launched on the 11th of May 1820 from Woolwich. It is perhaps most famous for its second voyage, which took place between 1831 and 1832, and carried Charles Darwin to South America and around the world. In 1839 he published his journals on the voyage, which are most commonly known today as the Voyage of the Beagle, but were originally called Journals and Remarks. This year we must also commemorate and celebrate a really important event that happened at Oxford University, and it marked a massive step forward in the rights of women to access education on an equal footing with men. Since the 19th century, a number of British universities had opened their doors to women. It allowed them to study alongside men. In certain cases, it allowed them to pay for the privilege to be examined with them as well. Men, of course, would have their exams paid for by the university. Women had no such luck. But regardless of whether they passed, or indeed of how well they passed, these women would not be entitled to earn a degree. There would be no graduation. Instead, they would be sent a certificate of completion in the post. That was until 100 years ago. At Oxford University in 1920, it was finally recognised that women should be entitled to graduate with a degree just like their male counterparts. If they had studied alongside them, been examined with them, in some cases doing better than them in exams, then of course they should get the same recognition. And this is when it happened at Oxford. So in this video, I chose to talk about just one event from each of the centenary years that we can celebrate in 2020. Of the events I didn't talk about, which are worthy of mention for you, whether that's from English, British, or indeed world history. Of the ones I did talk about, will you be celebrating any of them? Let me know in the comments section down below. Or you can come and find me over on my social media. As always, I will leave links to my Instagram and Twitter in the description box. You can follow me there and we can continue this conversation. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please let me know by hitting the thumbs up button. Please also subscribe to this channel, and while you're there, hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button so that YouTube will tell you when I've next uploaded. Once again, Happy New Year, and I hope that your 2020 is off to a great start. I hope you're going to have a great day, whatever you're doing, and I look forward to speaking to you all in my next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.